Hello everybody. A few months ago, I posted a video on the streaming software called Meld Studio. It is an alternative to OBS, and it was designed by the team to make it as easy as possible to go live with a beautiful stream. Now, what made this an interesting video is when I first started diving into Meld, I didn't understand why anyone would use it. OBS is the standard and OBS is free. Why would someone switch to anything else? And then, as I started using Meld, I got so excited about it, apparently too excited, because some of you took my excessive positivity about the software as me being sponsored to talk about it, even though I specifically said I wasn't. We will talk about that in a minute. I want to get into this video, but if some of you are still confused about why you should use Meld instead of OBS, I will link to that video down below. It talks about my favorite things I discovered about Meld and the basics of how it works. Link, of course, in the description. And if you clicked on that and you watched it and you're coming back and you're excited about Meld, well, happy to have you back. You should know that since that video is posted, the Meld dev team has already added a handful of new features, including a new vertical canvas layout for all of you that want to either stream to TikTok while you're going live or record TikToks while you're live on Twitch and YouTube. That was a really fun update. I actually helped Meld brainstorm the implementation of how Meld should do vertical. We'll get into that later too. Let's get moving on this streamer masterclass. This video is for people that just want to make a beautiful stream and don't want to have to learn any complicated software. And if you're a little bit overwhelmed by the side of Meld, because it does look different than OBS, don't worry. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to hold your hand. By the end of this video, you'll be ready to go live using Meld with a beautiful and a unique stream of your own, and you're also going to look beautiful doing it. Probably. Let's get into it. I do, however, want to mention the actual sponsor of today's video, your one-stop shop for all your stream widget needs, Owned.pro. Owned.pro has been hard at work developing a plethora of stream widgets for you to put in your stream so you can have a beautiful but minimal look that all the professionals have. I use about 4 of them on my stream right now, including the music widget, the combined chat overlay widget, the rotating label widget, and the hypometer, which is like their subtrain widget. There will be a link in the description down below if you want to add some of those widgets to your stream. So go check it out. Most of them are free. Enjoy them. Let's get back to Meld Studio. First thing we're going to do is we're going to install Meld. meldstudio.co. Download. One of the things you'll notice that's different between OBS and Meld is that Meld's updates are frequent and just automatic. It's like an app on your phone updating in the background. They go through an extensive testing alpha and beta process, and so it's working by the time it gets to your computer, and Meld just always works and always has the new stuff. Really nice. I like that. The first thing it'll ask you when it pops up is to give access to your camera. If you would like a headache, click no. Otherwise, click yes. It's going to share with you a couple quick and easy features. Feel free to read through those if you want. Otherwise, I'm going to go through most of them in this video. We're going to click multi-canvas because we want to do horizontal and vertical at the same time. Now let's take the first couple seconds and look at the UI here and see where everything is. Obviously we have our canvas in the middle. This is our main canvas that once we populate it with our overlays and our gameplay and our camera, that's going to be sent to Twitch and YouTube. Over here we have our vertical canvas. This can be used to either stream vertically to YouTube or TikTok and eventually Twitch, or it can be used to record vertical clips for you to cut down and edit and upload to vertical platforms like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, later. Or do both. We live in a world where you should be doing both. It's a lot, but I don't make the rules. On the left side, we have 2 panels for your layers and your scenes. If you're familiar with OBS, layers are what they call sources in here. It's a little bit more in line with most creative software like Photoshop. All of your things are called layers. At the bottom center, we have our audio mixer. This is where all your audio tracks will come in. And on the right side is where most of the new stuff is. Let's start from the top. At the start, we have a nice feature that shows our disk space, how much space you have left on your hard drive so you don't accidentally fill that up. We have our go live button, we have our record button, we have a record a clip button, which you can see if you hover over it, it'll tell you how far back it's going to record. Basically, this button is the replay buffer button, but named a little bit more simply. We'll get more into setting that up in a little bit. And before we fill out the rest of this section here, which we will in a little bit, we have something called outputs, and it's waiting for you to install the virtual camera. We'll get to that later. For now, click install. And we're ready. Let's start by just getting some of our basic settings ready. So we're gonna go to File, we're gonna go to Preferences. For now, we're just gonna start with a General tab here because that's all you need to do in the beginning. We're gonna make sure our canvas resolution is set properly. We want it in 1080p for now. Frame rate is 60 frames per second. Hardware encoder is the difference between X264 and NVENC. I feel like that should have been named a little bit better, but if you have a relatively modern GPU, keep hardware encoder on. We're going to turn our video bit rate to 6,000 kilobits per second. The vertical doesn't matter quite as much, and the rest should be perfectly fine. Let's jump into building our stream. Let's start by adding some stuff to our scene here. We're going to build 3 scenes, the standard 3 scenes. We got our gaming scene that has our gameplay big and our camera small. We'll have our intermission screen or our chatting screen that has our camera full screen, and then we're going to have a be right back screen. We're going to start with the gaming scene because a lot of people, it's all they use. So let's name the scene gaming, and let's add our first layer. We're going to add a display capture, and I can grab the one that we're on right now, but a lot of you know that's just going to result in like this endless tunnel effect of capturing your capture. So let's move over to this panel that we skipped over earlier, which is now populated. You can see this is the properties panel. So whatever we have selected over here is going to show up with all of our options over here. And we can see we got source right here. In OBS, you have to click on properties and have it open up in a separate window. You can't do anything else while that's open. In Meld, you just have them right here for you. So here's the source. This is my main display I'm using right now. We're going to switch this over to my other display, which has an image of the Marvel Rivals lobby image. We're going to pretend that's an actual game, Marvel Rivals. It's also like a really low resolution image, but this gives us a perfect opportunity to learn some skills here. You can see it's letterboxed in here. We got the UI of the Windows photo preview app, whatever you want to call it, and we want to stretch this out. So I could try to stretch it this way and then try to stretch it this way, but that's not the best way to do it. Instead, we're going to hold Alt while we stretch. And what that does is that gives us a symmetrical transform. So not holding Alt, it does this. Holding Alt, it does this. How great is that? So now I can just go like this, stretch it all the way out. That looks pretty good to me. Now that we got that where we want it, let's just lock it and let's add our camera. Let's see, video device. Again, we're going to add our Camlink 4K. And look, here I am twice now. And we could do the same thing here. We could shrink me down. We could move me over, but let's do Command Z, undo. Now you might notice I have some black bars on the left and right. And that's because I'm using a camera that shoots a little bit taller than normal. Something called open gate. I've talked about it a lot with my Lumix cameras, but I want to get rid of these black bars here so they're not annoying and in the way. So you'll notice when I have this layer selected and I click on it in the viewer here, I get these cropping options here. And really easily, I can just click on these and I can make whatever shape I want, or I can undo and bring it back to the original size. Very convenient. And honestly, in this situation, I'd probably go into something like this. But if I want to get really specific here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little crop button here, and I could drag this side in and drag this side in. You may have noticed actually, it automatically snapped to match the crop on the right side. Let's check that out again. Boop, boop. Super convenient feature, but undo all that. Instead, we're again going to hold Alt just like we did last time, and that's going to give us a symmetrical crop. And look at that, super easy. In fact, let's bring it in a little bit more. Let's make a little bit of a tall camera image on this scene. There we go. I like that. Click the crop thing again to bring it in. By the way, you notice when you're in crop mode, it removes all the other layers and then darkens anything outside the crop, which makes it really easy to crop properly. All right, now let's hold Alt and let's shrink it down to the size that we want, maybe about there. Move it to the side of our screen here. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's not hold Alt so we can keep the edge this side the same distance from the wall. That's pretty good. The last thing I want to do is a really cool feature of Meld that just shows how simple they've made the entire process. So if I click on the camera here, let's say I want to add some nice little rounded corners. Let's go ahead and do that. Look at that. Perfect. It took me like 5 seconds. And now we've got a nice little camera, perfectly cropped with rounded corners. We got our gameplay over here. I feel like they're kind of mushing together. It's hard to really see where the camera ends and the gameplay begins. So we're going to add a drop shadow to it. Over here in properties, we're going to click on effects. We're going to hit plus. Let's see. Drop shadow right there. Let's click on this button to open up the effects. To have the drop shadow going this way, so it goes into the gameplay a little bit, makes it a little bit more obvious. Let's increase the distance. I do wish you could do this and remove this blue outline. That would make this a lot easier. Meld team, that's a feature request for you. Give a little more distance. So distance is obviously going to move it further away, kind of expanding the distance between the foreground and what you're drop shadowing it on top of. And then softness is going to blur that a little bit. There we go. It's hard to tell with that blue outline around it, but that's already a lot better. Now, the next thing we're gonna need is some widgets to add a little bit of flair to my scene. So you can see right in the plus layers, the add layers button, we can go down to widget. We got 2 widgets down here. Now, I worked on these with Meld. We actually made these together. These were my 2 requests. And this is where I had a lot of people assuming that I was sponsored and paid by Meld. Because once we finished making these, they said, hey, these are really cool. Can we make a meldstudio.co/Harris Heller, a landing page for people to go to, just so we can track and see how interested people are in this? And I said, sure, why not? I think that'd be a lot of fun to highlight the stuff we worked on. But there being a vanity link like that, a link with my name in it, usually that only happens if you're an affiliate of a product. I just want to take a quick moment to clear the air. Meld has never given me a single dollar. I own no stake in Meld. I have no emotional stake of whether this software succeeds or fails. The only reason I got so excited and talked about all these things and did this cool stuff with Meld is because I found something really amazing that I thought brought a lot of value to you guys. And I kind of used my influence in the space to get you guys some cool stuff. I told the Meld team, I said, if you make these free widgets for my audience, I will make a video on your product. And if you've been here a while, you know that's not the first time I've done something like this. I've always released free widgets and free alerts and stuff for you guys throughout the years. So anyway, I think we can move on from that. Let's talk about the combo widget. So the combo widget is like a train-like widget. How this works is when you have someone subscribe or donate or do something on stream, this is going to fill up. And then over the course of the next couple minutes, it's going to slowly drain. And then if someone else does the same thing, subscribes, donates, whatever, it's going to refill. And so the goal is to keep it going as long as possible. Now, if I click on it, again, you can see all the options here. And we did everything we could to make this as beautiful, but also as simple as possible. Lots of times companies will put way too many options in here. These are the settings that I asked for, and I said nothing more than this. So right now, if someone donates bits on Twitch, they subscribe on Twitch, super chat on YouTube, or become a member on YouTube, it will fill up to the top. And then it will slowly drain over the course of the next 5 minutes. You can change the color to whatever you want. I'm going to change the top to white, and I'm going to change the bottom to red, so it's cool senpai colors. I think that looks nice. Let's make that red a little bit deeper. And you can see you can resize it to whatever size you want. It'll automatically round the corners. You can round the corners however you want. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this behind my camera. And we're going to have it match the camera. I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's a lot of really nice snapping going on in Meld, which makes all of this really, really easy. There we go. That's clean. I don't know if I like the shadow going over this though. Let's move the shadow back to the other side. Move this guy over here. Go back to the combo widget. Let's move it in just a little bit more. Also bring out the edges. We're going to make this just perfect, just like that. And the last thing that you can do is you can adjust the edge width for when it's inactive, meaning once it runs out of time, it shrinks down. You can see kind of like this. Right now it's active, so the bottom one is actually going to adjust that. I'm going to want it to go to there when it's done, at least 67%. And so now when this runs out, it's just going to slide back behind the camera. And then when someone donates again, it'll slide back out. Really clean. Let's go to presets here. See if there are any color effects that make my cameras pop a little bit more. I don't think these are quite what we're looking for, but those are some really cool effects that you can add on with a single click if you like. Let's just add some brightness and contrast instead. Let's bring it up a little bit. Let's add some real, oh, there we go. All right, I think our camera is done. We need one more widget. Let's add in that last widget here. We're gonna add the spotlight, because you notice even though we have a really cool train here, we have nothing showing who did the train. Who donated? Who subscribed? Let's preview a Twitch sub. There we go. Let's throw that under here. I'm gonna bring the font size down a little bit. Oh, look at that. Just hold control so it doesn't snap. Maybe put it right there. Did you guys notice when the train ended, it disappeared behind the camera? Let's bring it back out. Combo widget. Whoosh. There we go. Comes back out. So I'm doing this as if it's my own stream, having a little bit too much fun here. All right. And the last thing you're going to want to add is alerts. And this works the exact same way that it does in OBS. You're going to go to an alert platform, something like owned.pro, create your alerts in there, copy the browser link. And then in here, you're going to add a browser layer. And over on the side here, that's where you'll paste in the link. I don't have one handy, so I'm going to delete it. And your gameplay scene is done. Now, the last thing we really need on this scene is our microphone. Let's see if we can get this microphone put in here. So we got our first track here. Default input right now, it's set to the cam link. That's not what we want. Let's look for Wavelink Stream. That is the software I'm using, and that's my stream mix. And now you can see as I'm talking, it's going up and down. Now, if you wanted to bring in your microphone and your gameplay separately, you could do that by adding an extra track. We got all of our inputs here if we want, or if you wanted to grab an output, like for example, Wavelink System. Look at that. We can grab all of our outputs as well, and we can make as many as we want. If you want to get real technical here, you can even do a process source. And now you can see every single thing that's running on my PC. A lot of options for audio here. We're going to go back to input sources. In fact, we're going to remove this one. So we got everything we want right in there. And we are set to go on our gameplay scene. I'm ready to go live now. We got a clean, simple stream. And for the most part, you guys have a good idea of how this software works. Before we jump into our chatting scene, let's jump over here to the vertical canvas. I'm really excited to show you about this. This is new. So let's hit next here. It gives you a couple options. So you have some templates here. Because this is our gaming scene, we're going to start with the gaming template. We got our video device and our capture device. It creates it all for you. So I'm going to choose my Camlink 4K again. Let's add our display capture down here. Again, we're going to grab the same one. We're going to stretch it out the same way. And now at this point, if you've used OBS, you may have noticed something, especially if you've used the vertical plugin that I worked on with the ATEM team. There is no extra window for vertical scenes and vertical sources. Instead, if I click on my horizontal scene here, you can see I have my horizontal layers. If I click on the vertical scene here, watch this little rectangle up here. It rotates, and now we can see our vertical layers. Just a nice feature that removes clutter from your UI. I have way too many panels in OBS. So just like before, I can crop this, although I noticed a little bug here. I noticed when my camera is up top, it won't let me get to crop, but if I drag it down, I can. So Meld's team, this is my bug report for you. There's a weird little crop bug in the vertical mode. In fact, let's crop it even a little bit more so I can get a little bit more gameplay here. There we go. You know what? We're going to kind of go ham here. There we go. That's nice. But you can see my camera up here has that same non-contrasted kind of faded look as we had before. So this is a nice feature. I can just right click on this one. I can say copy effects, right click on this one, paste effects. And we're all done. Now we've got our horizontal scene. We've got our vertical scene. We are done with our gameplay scene. We're ready to go live, both horizontally and vertically. Let's move on to our chatting scene. And this one's going to be really simple. So let's add a new scene. This one is our chatting scene. Let's add a camera. We're going to do the same thing that we did before. I'm going to hold Alt. I'm going to crop this into the side. I'm going to be done cropping and then hold Alt again. Zoom in just like that. Now we got a full screen camera. Can I paste the effects on here? I can paste them from other scenes. I didn't even know that. Let's do the same thing in vertical. We're going to add a video device. We're going to make it our camera. We're just going to stretch that down. This is why I like using a tall camera. Go ahead and paste the effects. And now we have a vertical and a horizontal scene for both chatting and gaming. And let's see what happens when we switch back and forth. Ooh, look at that. That's pretty nifty because in Meld, the move transition is on by default. And the way it works is it reads your layer names, and anything named the same, it's going to assume that is the same thing, and it's going to have those things transition into each other. So if I rename this one to camera, and by the way, make sure you're on the right layer. You can see if I click over onto my vertical canvas, it's still named Camlink 4K. I only renamed it on my horizontal canvas. But now if I go back to the gaming scene, it doesn't do it anymore because back on the gaming scene, it's still named Camlink 4K. So we're going to name this camera. That should reset it. And there we go. It sees the camera layer here and the camera layer here, assumes they're the same things, and just brings it that way. But I want to do something really cool here. This is kind of the standard way that a lot of people use this move transition. Let's make a really cool move transition. It should only take about 1 minute. So I'm actually going to get rid of the chatting scene here. And instead, I'm going to duplicate what we've got. And I'm going to call this one my chatting scene. Now, these are going to be identical. And so now in this new one, I'm going to move this down a little bit. I'm also just going to crop off this garbage at the top so you can't see it. Maybe move it down to here. And then I'm going to take the camera. I'm going to take all 3 of these actually, and I'm going to move them down to here. And I'm going to hold shift when I move, and that's going to keep it moving directly up and down. It's going to keep it locked to only one direction. Move it off the scene. So now, there we go. Look at this. Now it does that. Looks like in the gaming scene, I also need to crop this one because it's coming back. Let's crop this out. There we go. Lock that up again. All right, we got half a cool transition here. So here, let's add our chatting camera. We're gonna call a video device. We're gonna bring in our Camlink 4K again. We're gonna call this one chatting cam. Crop it in, let's make it full screen. Proper, I forgot to hold Alt. That's okay, I can just grab it, it'll stretch back out. Proper full screen camera. I'm also gonna crop off the top and bottom here so it's just right. There we go. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna right click on this. We're gonna copy it from our chatting scene. We're gonna go to our gaming scene and paste it in here. So it's exactly the same. And then in our gaming scene, we're gonna move this holding shift all the way up here, out of the scene. Now watch what this does. Let's move this one a little bit further. Move these down here. So it feels like the 2 cameras are moving at the same speed. We got that nice parallax effect where the background doesn't move quite as fast, so it makes these look a little bit more in front of it. And look at that. That looks awesome. That's really cool. I'm really happy with how that turned out. Let me know if you like it too. But if you want to adjust the timing or you don't want to move transition at all, let's go into that. Let's go into our preferences again. Let's go to transition. And right now by default, it's set to move and the duration is set to 1 second. I'm going to actually slow it down to 2 seconds. Oh, I like that better. But if you don't like the move transition at all, we can just make it a fade. Let's bring this back to 1 second or 1,000 milliseconds. And there we go. Now this is exactly what I'm talking about, where I say this software is designed to make things easier. When you make things easier, you do have to remove options. That's one of the things that makes OBS so complicated is they let you control everything. For example, you can have specific transitions designed for certain scenes. And that's a really cool tool for the 1% of streamers who want to do that. And if that's you, then I would continue to use OBS. But for the 99% of people that just want a cool move transition, you and I both know how much easier this is than having to install a third-party plugin and go through the move transition that's built into OBS. It's a very powerful plugin, but it's not for the faint of heart. It's definitely not a beginner plugin. Let's real quick make our BRB screen. BRB, this one's gonna be super simple. I'm just gonna, oh, whoops. I had the vertical layer selected. Make sure you have your horizontal layer selected. Add some text. Go over to the text over here. BRB. Let's do lowercase. Got that from Steggy from Elgato. Let's bring up the font size a little bit. Cool. Easy peasy. In fact, we can take our chatting scene. Let's copy our chatting camera, put it in the BRB, put it on top, and let's move it down here. And then let's copy our text, put it back in our chatting scene, and put it at the very bottom. Oh, let's switch our transition back to move. Switch this back to 2 seconds because I like that. And now let's also move. Let's also move the gameplay. That's a nice feature you guys will like, by the way. You can move layers that are underneath. When I clicked here, notice when I clicked here, even though my camera was on top of it, it didn't move my camera because I had the gameplay selected. I can still move it, even though it's behind. Nice. Flawless execution. That was excessive. We'll work on that later. But now we have our chatting scene. We have our BRB scene. So we got a stream ready to go. We set this up super fast. Let's set up our outputs. Now, there is multi-streaming built into Meld. Let's go ahead and add an output. We're gonna add a Twitch output. I'm gonna log in and look at that. I'm ready to go live on Twitch. I can just turn it on or off, whatever I wanna do there. Let's add another output. Let's add YouTube. Let's log in and look at that. And I'm ready to go live on Twitch and YouTube. I can turn them on and off however I please. We're ready to go. Let's go back to those settings for a little bit. Again, those outputs are right in the general settings. So you can see underneath your stream settings, you have 2 other settings. You have your recording settings and you have your clipping settings. And this is pretty straightforward. The recording option controls what happens when you hit record. The clipping option controls what happens when you hit clip. Under recording, you can hit edit and you can decide, do you want to record the main canvas or do you want to record the vertical canvas? I'm going to be recording my main canvas. You got your file formats and you got where you want it to record to. And it's going to use the same settings that you have set up here. Now down in clipping, let's do that again. Now I actually want to clip my vertical canvas. The only reason I clip anything when I'm live is if I want to clip something for TikTok. You can control the clip length. I'm going to keep it at 90 seconds. I probably don't need a 90-second clip, but that way if it takes me a couple seconds to remember, or if something's barely longer than a minute, I've got that extra buffer space on either side and I can just trim out the edges later if I need to. I'm going to turn on clipping. And now if I do something and I click this clip button, let's see. Go to videos. Oh, look, there it is. I got my clip. Now, it's not 90 seconds. It's only 15 seconds because clipping had only been active for 15 seconds. But if I'd waited another 90 seconds, it would have given me a full 90-second clip. And even cooler, if I want to set that to a hotkey and then maybe assign that hotkey to a stream deck, you go to preferences here. You go to hotkeys. You have all of your hotkeys here. Here's clip. I'm going to assign, I don't know, what's an F button that doesn't really get used? F11. Here, I set F11 to one of my keys on my stream deck. Let's go and erase that. I can't erase it. Let's press that button on the stream deck. Look at that, F11. And now if I hit that button, it should record the last 90 seconds of my stream on the vertical canvas. Pretty cool, easy TikToks. When I was working with the Meld team on this vertical canvas, one of the decisions we had to make is how do we make this as easy as possible? And the way we decided to do it is instead of having horizontal scenes and vertical scenes, and then you link them together, every scene just has a horizontal version and a vertical version. And that's worked really well and just makes it easier for people that just want it to work right out of the gate. But I think that's gonna be it. Is there anything I missed? Anything you wish I'd talk about? Because there are a lot of features that I didn't want to talk about and make this a whole hour-long video. Like for example, in the audio, if you click edit, you can just exclude a certain track from the Twitch VOD track. Or if you need to adjust your bit rate, you can actually do it while you're live. That's a really nice one. So many cool things in Meld, and they're adding new features like every week to this thing. So let me know in the comments down below what you wished I'd explained, maybe something I missed, or a feature that's missing that you would like them to add. I promise you, they are reading this. The last couple updates, they've used your comments to decide what they need to focus on first. And if you don't have any suggestions, just leave your favorite emoji in the comments for engagement. It helps me out a ton. And while you're down there, like the video and hit the subscribe button for more videos like this. And as always, happy streaming.